Hi friends, host Eric here, host of Talking with Famous People, and today you're going to see me wearing a tank top. This is not normal for me. I'm not a big tank top wearer historically. You can see how white my arms are. I mean, light black, you'd call it today. I'm going through an African American phase right now, so anyway, pretty good day for host Eric, frankly. Kim and I had really satisfying sexual intercourse a little while ago. It's been a few days, and it didn't attain significance on longevity criterion, maybe, but it did certainly on urgency. Anyhow, so I went down to this meeting with the Pomona people. There's a couple of people from the city that I met with, and a couple of officers from internal affairs who just basically escorted me from the coffee shop to these offices where I met with these people, and here's what it basically boils down to is they are very much interested in that night and what went down there, but not so super interested in what happened to me, right? It's like they actually care about the guy with the towel on his head who got tased a bunch, which is appropriate, I guess, but obviously, I go in there, I'm concerned about my thing, and but they ask me mostly questions about stuff that didn't happen to me, right? So at the end of it, I'm living on a pear, whoa-ah, and no, wait, that distracted me. I wasn't living on a pear. Anyway, they offered me $5,000 to sign away any liability for the city. And so I took it. I just took it because, I told them they weren't liable anyway. But so I just signed the paper and took the $5,000. And I don't even think it precludes me from suing the officer, although it might, but I don't care because I'm not going to anyway because I've been paid for it, so it's justice has been attained, so it would be unfair for me to do anything further anyway. But regardless, I was never going to sue the city, so if they want to give me $5,000 to promise not to do that, then that's fine. I will take the $5,000. I don't know what else to say about it.
What happened to the idea of the principle of the matter?
Well, the thing is, I began pursuing it, and I realized in short order, I can't force the cop to go to court and defend himself against a lawsuit, because the maximum I could put in California for small claims court, which is how I wanted to do it, was $7,500, but I thought that was too much. So I said, if you want this to just go away without having to admit any culpability or anything, you just got to pay me $5,000, because you have to give them that possibility, or else you can't sue them. So I knew going in today that there was a possibility that the cop, I figured it was probably the most likely outcome, the cop was just going to pay me $5,000 himself, and then I wouldn't get to make my point, right? But that's just how I was going to have to live with it. So if I'm going to get the $5,000 and not get to make my legal point, which is all I really cared about anyway, I don't care about really actually holding him culpable for anything, because I already got my values worth out of the experience by getting to make these videos and have a lot of fun doing that kind of shit, right? But I wanted to make the point in case law precedent, but I can't force that anyway. So since there's a decent chance I could either wait a long time to get my $5,000 and still not get to do my thing, or just take the $5,000 now, and since I kind of need the money, I just took it. I don't know, it seemed like a good idea. They were nice, they were super nice, everybody was really nice to me. I didn't see the city attorney, and they kind of like tricked me by telling me that the city attorney was going to be there. Maybe they thought that would help me go to the meeting, and I might not otherwise go. Then they tried to apologize for when I got there, like that he wasn't there. I was like, no, I'm glad he's not here, because I would have had to apologize to him because I was like super rude unnecessarily to him on the internet. So that was nice. He wasn't there. I didn't have to deal with that. And the two people I did talk to were great. The interviewer, who's an investigator, who's investigating the tasing of that guy, basically, asked me a bunch of questions. I may have to go back and answer more questions for the cops at some point because they've got separate investigations going on here, you know. And whatever, I just do the same thing I've done from the moment the whole thing started, which is try to be just, fair, honest, and upfront about everything, and forthright, and not trying to play any bullshit, you know. So whatever they need from me in the future going forward, if they need testimony or whatever, I'll just do what I did today in the interview. Just tell exactly the truth. I recorded it, so did he. Not video, just audio. But I'll put it up on the internet in a little while. I mean, I'll excerpt it a little bit because I want to take out the names of the people. They didn't ask me to, but I just think it would be appropriate for me to take out the names of the people who were there because, you know, they're not signing on. They're not signing on to be part of a video, really, and it just doesn't seem cool. So I'll just take their information from the audio, and then I'll put it up there. It's about 40 minutes. Just me going over everything that happened that night. It doesn't even include the settlement part, because after he turned off the recorders, he's like, okay, now. And it honestly seemed like the city manager guy, the risk manager guy who was making me this offer, thought I wasn't going to accept it. But I think that's because they didn't understand the position I was in on the small claims court issue. And so they assumed I was going to stick to my guns. I didn't understand the position I was in on the small claims court issue until I started looking into it more, and I realized, I can't force this issue. I should have realized that right away. There's no way to force it. He can just choose to pay you what you demand, and then you have to go away. So that's why I try to structure it like, if you pay me $5,000, I'll go away, but if you want me to go away for cheaper, you can get me to go away for as little as $500 potentially if you do it the way I want you to do it, yada, yada, yada. Well, you know, they had watched the videos, the city people, and they said, we saw the thing about the three options about, can you explain that? And I said, I explained it, and then they're like, well, will you take $5,000 from us today? And I'm like, yes. So that's it. That's what happened. And
did you sign anything?
Yeah, I signed away any liability for the city forevermore regarding this incident at all for $5,000. But keep in mind, I had just finished telling them I wasn't going to sue the city and didn't think the city should be held liable for it.
Anyway, good stuff. Well done.
Yeah, who knew?
$5,000's a lot of money.
Yeah, it's pretty good chunk of change for getting pushed a little bit by a
ring. I mean, what size ring can you get with 5,000?
I don't plan on getting a ring, actually.
What?
Yeah, we're gonna.
I thought you were gonna get a big ring for Kim.
No, Kim wants to put $1,000 away for Christmas, and I think we're gonna pay the rent out of this because this check should come in right around when rent's due, and so. You know, we just want to pay the rent from that. I mean, it doesn't matter. It all blends in together into a couple of accounts, but we'll pay the rent from it for this month and put $1,000 aside for Christmas. And Kimmy wants to buy some supplies to paint the chicken coop, and it's, you know, then whatever's left over.
Is it taxable?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I don't know. I'll have to look that up. Is that taxable income? I don't think so, because you don't really work for it when you get your rights violated. If that were the case, it would be like, I'm here for you guys to beat me up again here at work. I got the worst job, I tell you. Civil rights violatee. It's a shitty job.
My grandfather was a freedom rider, and it's just the family job.
Yeah. So that was cool. That was fun. It was exciting. To get to go tell my story. You know, I like to talk. I don't know if you're aware of that, Castro.
No.
Yes, it's true. I'm going to have to
the
go clean about it.
is one of the most introverts.
Yes. I'm the most introverted extrovert, huh? Yeah, I always actually kind of poo-pooed that notion as well until I realized that I actually spend a lot of time working in solitude on things. But it's not the same thing to me as being alone. I hate being alone, which means I'm not working on anything and I'm by myself. But if I am working on something, then I hate when people are around because I don't like them to distract me.
Well, that's an interesting point. I mean, being an introvert or an extrovert doesn't necessarily mean that you want to be isolated. You could want to be among people, but not saying anything.
That's
not having
true.
to extrovert.
Yeah, I think a lot of introverts, that's why they appreciate extroverts in a way that I can't quite understand. It's like, I don't get the idea that sometimes you want somebody else to talk, because I don't really experience that ever. I used to always try to let everybody have their turn as the center of attention. It took me a while to realize not everybody wants to be the center of attention. Some people probably actively don't want to be the center of attention. Like Kim actively doesn't want to be the center of attention. She tries to stay off camera. Die, motherfucker! Fucking flies.
Yeah, so what if you just do wave a naked flame around in front of your face?
I'm trying to kill them a lot.
I think if the if the government are watching right now, they'll probably just say, let's sit this out. He'll probably kill himself before we have to give him his $5,000.
No, they said I'd have the check for sure by the Wednesday at the latest. So that's cool. And I honest to God, it never occurred to me that they were going to make me a settlement offer today. After all, I'd done all the work for them to make it almost impossible for me to sue them by saying many times on video that they shouldn't be held liable for it.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, it's probably like it is here, because here, if you can make some money by pretending that you fell over a pothole.
But that's the thing. I didn't pretend anything. One of the things I said in the interview today was I'm absolutely not hurt. I
know you didn't, but this is my point. Like, I bet there's people who do, and basically it's cheaper for them just to make people offers.
Yeah, I guess it's safer. I understand that it's safer for them because they don't want to leave a loose end untied that might come back later and decide that he changed his mind and wants to sue you guys all of a sudden. And then they got to deal with the legal cost of that. And I understand that, and that makes some sense. However, in my case, they should have trusted their judgment, which would have told them that this guy is not going to be okay himself with coming back and going against what he's already said many times and trying to sue us, unless we show intransigence. They would have been correct if they were actually on the side of trying to obstruct justice or something. Then they would have been correct to just. I don't think they are. I actually think they're investigating it seriously. I felt as though everybody there took it seriously. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, obviously the city is on this tasing incident. Independently of anything I'm doing, they're curious of the tasing incident and they're investigating it because that's mostly what they asked me about. They didn't really care about my part of the story about, I mean, they cared. They asked me about it and I told them and everything, but I'm just saying the big investigation doesn't involve me. So they tie up that loose end and go away, Eric, and be available in case we need to interview you and stuff, but I mean, don't be adversarial anymore. Sure, no problem. $5,000? Sure. No problem. Especially since I have no way to force the cop to cooperate with me. I'm probably not going to be able to make my point of case law, so fuck yeah. Why not? Thank you. Thanks, City of Pomona. I appreciate it. It was very considerate of you. In the end, I'm going to publish this video so everyone knows what happened in the story. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to eat plenty of cheese.